So one of our newest features in FBO Director is our flight school module. The history of FBO Director came out of FBO Manager when the program was originally started in 1996 with Aero Club Manager, which morphed into Flight School Manager, which became FBO Manager. Similarly, today we saw a need for a flight school module that would satisfy the FBOs and flight schools out there with a simple and easy to use program based on that historically successful track record. So in FBO Director, on the left-hand side, there's a menu item for flight school, and here you will see aircraft, pilots, instructors, and reports. If you are planning to dispatch aircraft and operate during the day, you would click on this tab right here, Flight School, and then dispatch an aircraft. Today, though, I'm going to start with the setup of the aircraft and instructors and pilots, and then we'll do a dispatch of an aircraft in a separate video. So to set up aircraft, the first thing we should give some thought to is how we're going to rent those aircraft. So to do that, we're going to set up a product code, configuration, products. We're going to add a product code called rental aircraft. That would be a service item. We would have a sales account for that, and our default sales account, that would be revenue flight school. Purchase price and sales price can be entered as $1, and then the sales description will be listed as aircraft rental. Now you may be curious about taxing and similar items. The taxes are controlled by the revenue account on this particular setup, and we have the ability to then handle that to exempt taxes, add taxes for solo flights and dual flights and the similar items. I'm going to go ahead and add another item for instruction in anticipation of setting up our flight instructor. So I'll set this up as flight instruction. Similarly, it will be a service item, and that's going to come under flight instruction. And we add that to the application. Now, if you were paying attention, I noticed on my aircraft rental, actually I did capture the right product code, and then I have some duplicates from previously set up information here, flight instruction, etc. But if I made a mistake, I can click the pencil on the product configuration screen. I can make a change to it and go through and track information or make updates as needed. So that's aircraft rental. I'm actually curious now because I believe I've entered rental aircraft more than once. So to check that, I would go down to the filter at the bottom of the list, search for rental, and look at that, aircraft rental, rental aircraft, and then some different rentals. So this was the one I set up this morning, and we will use that going forward, rental aircraft. Of course, in your setup, you would only have one such account number, but this is our demonstration database, and we tend to be a little sloppy with the data. All right, I've set up some product codes. Product codes are important because that's what's going to link to your accounting system and manage the billing. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and go over to aircraft and set up an owner. Owners aren't anything in particular other than to have a reference point if you do leasebacks. At a minimum, you need to have at least one owner for the aircraft though. So I'm going to say Ascenta Labs demo database is the owner. There's no pilot or anything else associated with it, and I'm just going to click it. Click Save. Now I'll go to Aircraft, Manage Aircraft. I'm going to go ahead and add my first aircraft. You can see I have a couple set up already, but I'll click this green button, Add Aircraft. And the first airplane I'm going to add is November 5660 Golf. I don't know the serial number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The owner, of course, is going to be Ascenta Labs database. That particular aircraft gets pulled from our make and model list. And in this case, we are missing that as a make and model. So I'm going to put in a Cessna 182 for a moment as a placeholder, and then we'll come back and add some additional information. We'll designate the category and the class. Checkout category can be anything you want, and then this will create a list on the fly from that information. Some purchase information and other information there if you have it or want to include it. This is an amazing airplane. And if we have an image of the airplane, we can go ahead and grab that, but I don't right now. So we'll clean up a few items here in a moment. Pricing, We rent that airplane at $79 an hour. There's no asset or COGS account on rental aircraft, of course. We're going to tie that to the new item we just created, and that was actually called rental aircraft. Just choose that first. The page will refresh, and you'll notice that it will pre-fill the information accordingly. The rental rate then becomes the amount that you want to set, and I made a mistake here. Hourly cost would be your leaseback rate if you had a leaseback. Well, that's your operating cost, and then you have a leaseback fee if you have that information in there. You can set up a leaseback method as desired. Some of the other fields are on here are for future development with a charter module, which we had in FBO Manager, and we're just keeping historic compatibility. The final item is you can set up a block rate, which will tie this back to price class groups and other elements within the system, so you can set that up and automatically discount for pilots. Lastly, the dispatch sheet. We provide a basic shutdown checklist for each new aircraft that's created. The other items that you can put on there are up to you. It's just a WYSIWYG editor. I'm going to change an item here. Do not wreck our airplane. Pilot agrees. He is PIC and has checked all applicable rules and regulations. Something like that, whatever you want it to be. And then we use Grammarly here, so it just allows us to spell check and keep things set up accordingly. Once I'm done, I click Save Aircraft. Now, I like to fix things, so I put this in as a Cessna 182, and I want to correct the image. So the make and model list is set up under Customers, Tail Numbers, Aircraft Types. This is where you can build a list of airplanes for your fleet that you're going to use accordingly. Down here at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and add Cessna 150, 152. I'll go ahead and add Cessna 172. All right, and then let's go out and grab an image of this airplane. There's a nice looking one right there. So I'm just going to click Save Image As. I'm saving that to my Downloads folder. I called it Download JPEG. That's it. Go back over into FBO Director. Now we're going to go back to Flight School, Aircraft, Manage Aircraft, and we can make changes. So here's our airplane. Click on the pencil to make changes to that particular aircraft. I'm going to go ahead and upload an image of the airplane. There's the file. And then the other item that we had changed was the make and model, Cessna 152. And I will click Save. And that is a quick overview on how to set up aircraft for your flight school.